A lot can change in 100 days, especially when it comes to foreign policy. President Donald Trump is back in the White House for a second term, and his actions in the Middle East have been shaking things up in ways we haven't seen before. Let's take a closer look at the major moves shaping the region. First, let's talk military action. The Trump administration wasted no time in ramping up the pressure on Yemen. The US launched Operation Rough Rider against the Houthi rebels to counter their escalating attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, and to protect US and allied forces, particularly Israel, from missile and drone threats. This campaign isn't just about Yemen. It's part of Washington's broader confrontation with Iran. However, many suggest bombing the Houthis won't work. The group, backed by Tehran, has proven resilient, even with the US making gains. It's a high-stakes proxy battle, one that's not easy to win. Looking closer at Iran, President Trump has kept up the pressure on the Islamic Republic, building on the same stance seen in his first term. The US has gone as far as demanding that Iran completely eliminate its nuclear program, remarks that came amid indirect talks between the two countries. These talks, preceded by weeks of private letter exchanges and public threats, offer a glimmer of hope for de-escalation. Analysts say Trump's Iran diplomacy could eventually pay off, potentially delivering a foreign policy win that eluded his predecessor, Joe Biden. Iran has so far reported progress and described the talks as constructive. Turning to Israel and Palestine, Trump's plans for Gaza have been nothing short of controversial. His administration pushed for a massive economic redevelopment project in Gaza that includes the forced displacement of Palestinians from the war-ravaged enclave to new homes elsewhere. President Trump even shared on his social media platforms an AI-generated video imagining Gaza as a luxury resort named Trump Gaza, featuring golden statues, skyscrapers, and celebrity cameos. The plan mobilized Arab states to try and come up with an alternative solution. Till now, mediators continue to shuttle between capitals, and proposals are still being negotiated, but deep mistrust and diverging endgame goals between Israel and Hamas have stalled a breakthrough. Then there is Trump's engagement with Gulf states. We've seen Gulf powers flex their diplomatic muscles and mediate crisis after crisis. Saudi Arabia hosted high-level meetings between US and Russian delegations. Oman has been mediating between Iran and the US. The American diplomatic invitation to the talks went via the UAE, and the response came back via Oman. Trump will be visiting the region next month, a Gulf tour that many see as a test of regional alliances and nerves. Oil prices, tariffs, and major investment agreements are expected to dominate the agenda. As we look back on the first 100 days of Trump's second term, one thing is clear. His Middle East policy is bold, unpredictable, and fraught with challenges. But the question is, will these strategies pay off?
The United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations, terminate your own tariffs, drop your barriers, make America wealthy again. We're going to make it wealthy, good and wealthy.
It's all about tariffs. President Donald Trump's second term in office has been dominated by a new trade war, pitting America against its allies and adversaries around the world.
Mexico and Canada, have you heard of them? And countless other nations charge us tremendously higher tariffs than we charge them. China's average tariff on our products is twice what we charge them.
Trump slapped tariffs on China, Canada, and Mexico, claiming it was in response to fentanyl trafficking and illegal migration. It's a big deal. The three countries are America's largest trading partners, totaling trillions of dollars in imports and exports. But the real bombshell came on April 2nd, the highly anticipated Liberation Day. Trump announced sweeping tariffs on all of America's trading partners, a minimum baseline of 10%, with higher rates for nations he deemed the worst offenders in trade practices. Countries like Bangladesh and Vietnam fell into that category, with 37% and 46% levied against them. India was hit with a 26% tariff. A lot of this appears to have been driven by Trump's dislike for trade deficits. Countries running a surplus were spared the worst. Hit hardest has been China, which, after tit-for-tat retaliations, is now subject to a 145% tariff on most goods. Markets went into meltdown following Trump's tariff plan, with trillions of dollars wiped off global stocks in the following days. But it was when the bond market tanked, sending yields soaring, that Trump stepped back. Higher yields mean higher borrowing costs for the US government. So Trump quickly hit the brakes, announcing a 90-day pause on most tariffs, except for China.
The bond market's going good. It had a little moment, but I solved that problem very quickly. I'm very good at that stuff, and I solved it very quickly.
The Trump administration says they're now working to strike new deals with individual countries, and they've already carved out certain products from the tariffs on China. Among those are computers, laptops, smartphones, and disk drives. It's a lot to take in, but while Trump is claiming victory here, the uncertainty caused by tariffs has crept into global trade, markets, and business, with the dollar markedly weaker than it was before the saga began.
A lot has happened here in the US since Donald Trump took office for the second time. From turning the White House lawn into a Tesla showroom to renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, President Trump's actions are generating national and global headlines on a daily basis. It can be hard to keep up. So here are the key things you should know about Trump's first 100 days in office and how they relate to the Middle East. Deportations, deportations, deportations. Trump campaigned on a promise to launch the largest deportation operation in U.S. history, but the effort has even extended to those in the country legally. Angered by pro-Palestine protests that have swept U.S. universities, Trump has taken aim at people on student visas and even permanent residents. Mahmoud Khalil, a Syrian-born Palestinian U.S. permanent resident who led demonstrations at Columbia University, was detained by immigration officials. Experts have questioned the legality of deporting people in the U.S. over their views, but U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio defended the move.
I think it's important. There's a clear distinction between protesting against the democratic order and protesting in favor of groups that advocate the slaughter and murder of innocent people.
This has led to fear among many in the U.S., particularly among those with ties to the Palestinian cause. And Trump is even threatening U.S. universities by withholding federal funding, pressuring them to end actions they deem anti-Semitic, and in some cases, even influence curriculum and faculty. Taking a chainsaw to Washington. Trump enlisted the help of Tesla CEO Elon Musk to slash the size of the U.S. federal government, leading to mass layoffs and the shuttering of multiple government agencies. The U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, was the first to face the chopping block.
The USAID is really corrupt. I'll tell you, it's corrupt. It's incompetent, and it's really corrupt.
This will have an impact on the Middle East. The agency covered areas like food aid, education, and health in countries that include Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, and Yemen. Anti-Musk protests have gained support across the U.S. in response, but Trump has commended the billionaire's work.
He's a great patriot. He's paying a big price for helping us cut costs, and he's doing a great job. He's finding tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse.
It hasn't been all plain sailing for the president. Trump's first scandal occurred when members of his cabinet discussed U.S. plans to attack Houthi rebels in Yemen on the messaging app Signal. His national security advisor Mike Waltz accidentally included a journalist in the group chat. Several officials were in there, including J.D. Vance and Steve Witkoff, Trump's special envoy to the Middle East. Many of them celebrated the airstrikes with emojis. Trump wasn't included in the group, but the security lapse made waves in Washington. The president has so far stood behind key administration officials. We may only be 100 days into this administration, but Trump's America First approach has brought sweeping changes to Washington and around the world.